Hello, I'm Free Tillman, the only guy on the internet that doesn't know everything, and welcome to the Anniversary Show, where I celebrate an album that was released 10, 20, 30 years ago, and today we're talking about the Lost Tapes by Nas. While I have your attention, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment. Don't forget to check out my other shows, Never Heard It, where I talk about classic albums I never got around to listening to, and It's Been a While, where I talk about albums that I loved as a kid, but for whatever reason I stopped listening to them. Alright, let's dig into the Lost Tapes. The Lost Tapes was released on September 23rd, 2002, so if you're watching this in 2022, it is 20 years old. To really talk about the Lost Tapes, you have to go back to Nas's third album, I Am, which was released in 1999. I Am was supposed to be a double album, but a bunch of the songs were bootlegged on the internet before the album came out, so Nas decided to scrap those songs and record a bunch of new ones and then release a second album later that year. This is how we got Nostradamus. I Am did pretty well, and while not considered among his best albums, it's still remembered fondly. Nostradamus, not so much. So to recap Nas's career up to this point, Stillmatic was considered an instant classic. It Was Written is considered a classic now, to the point that some people consider it better than Stillmatic, but at the time it wasn't well received. Then you have I Am, then Nostradamus. In other words, one hot album every 10-year average. At this time in his career, fans were starting to wonder if Nas had lost it. Then came The Battle, and then came a reinvigorated Nas on Stillmatic. And now that Nas' star was starting to rise again, Columbia Records decided to capitalize on that by releasing the Lost Tapes. And that's when fans who weren't internet savvy in 1999 realized that Nas had never lost it at all. But before we talk about that album, let's see what else happened in September. Cruel Summer by Good Music was released on September 14, 2012. Miguel's Kaleidoscope Dream was released on September 25, 2012. Redman What the Album was released on September 22, 1992. And Stone Temple Pilots Core was released on September 29, 1992. The album begins with Do-Rags, an unhurried track that finds Nas getting introspective as he talks about the way society keeps trying to trap us, but we keep finding a way out. The hook on this one reminds me of Slick Rick, and it's no secret that he's a big fan, so it wouldn't be surprising if he was an inspiration on this track. The next song, My Way, was actually made for Stillmatic. Alchemist started playing beats, but he decided to make something on the spot based on the name Stillmatic. He suggested something that sounded like someone rhyming in the park. Nas liked the idea and told him to loop it up. Even though Nas talks about Ill Will all the time, to the point where he named his record company Ill Will, it's rare for him to mention exactly how he died, and that's what he does on the second verse of this song, which is really interesting. Another song that was meant for Stillmatic was No Ideas Original, which was also produced by Alchemist. It ironically samples Barry White's I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More Baby, a song that's been sampled hundreds of times. In fact, Chucky Thompson sampled the same song on Nas's One Mic, another song from Stillmatic, so truly, No Ideas Original. Blaze of 50 is a song that, if I didn't read that it was produced by LES and Trackmasters, I would have sworn that it was produced by Havoc. It's one of Nas's best storytelling raps, and that's saying a lot. It's the only rap song that I can think of that has a false ending. The Laid Back Purple is a highlight for me. It was produced by Hill Inc., who is the only producer I don't recognize on this album. The song is basically Nas lighting up a blunt and detailing everything that he sees wrong in the hood. On Drunk by Myself, Nas is tired of dealing with fake friends, and after a night of drinking, he decides to grab his gun and handle his biz. It seems that he's talking about someone in the streets betraying him. He mentions snitches and people acting like they're his friends and telling him fake stories, but at the very beginning of the song, he gives us a hint as to who he may be talking about. The first line of the song is, "My wife is tired of fucking me." At the time, he wasn't married, but he did have a fiance named Carmen. And if you're familiar with Nas versus Jay-Z, you probably know that Carmen cheated on Nas with Jay-Z. A few bars later, he says, "Like Christian, watching my life go down," a reference to the R&B group Christian, who had a song called Full of Smoke, where there was a line that says, "Watching my life go down," which isn't a big deal until you realize that they were signed to Rockefeller Records, and you probably know where I'm going with this. Is this a song about Nas getting drunk and wanting to kill Jay-Z? I don't know. Most of the details on this song allude to a street beef, and I don't think they were in the streets like that together. But the first few bars on this song do make me wonder. Black Zombie, which is the second song produced by Hill Inc., mostly talks about black people not realizing their full worth, including himself. At the end of the track, he takes a shot at Capitol Records, a record label that he said he was a slave to for almost 15 years. And him saying that is probably why this song never came out. Now we have Papa Was a Player, where Nas details his father's philandering ways. It was produced by D-Dot Angeletti and Kanye West with one of his earliest production credits. If you were to ask Ye, I'm sure he would say he produced the whole thing, but D-Dot says otherwise. For the song, Nas said that he was channeling the Temptations' Papa Was a Rolling Stone. It seems fitting that this song also samples The Newness Is Gone by Katie Hendricks, who was a member of The Temptations, although he had left by the time Papa Was a Rolling Stone was released. Unlike the song's inspiration, this song is a love letter to his pops to let him know that even though he left the house, he still showed up for him throughout his childhood, and for that, he'll always have love and respect. The album closes out with Fetus, which is a brilliant retelling of his birth in 1973. A few months after this project was released, Nas released his sixth album, God's Son, in the wake of his mother's death earlier that year, and that album is considered one of his most personal albums for obvious reasons. Between Stillmatic, Lost Tape, and God's Son, we were seeing a reinvigorated Nas. He was no longer the kid that went to hell for snuffing Jesus. He was just about to start filling the shoes of an OG. He had avoided the sophomore slump, multiple rap battles, bad record deals, and most devastatingly, the death of his mother. The phrase GOAT gets thrown around a lot these days to the point that it almost doesn't mean anything anymore, but Nas truly is one of the greatest of all time. So happy anniversary to the Lost Tapes, and catch me next time where I'll be talking about Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. Peace.